The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Kuna Rural Fire District, Idaho, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38181. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation. Starting first, just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks. These are rated at 6,000 pounds direct pull and are not intended for towing purposes. Also, the unit identifier E61 on the passenger side face of the front bumper. In the center, electronic siren and PA speaker system. Over onto the face of the front bumper on the driver's side, dual air horns. Moving up onto the bumper extension on the passenger side, you'll find your front bumper inlet. Also a tubbed storage location with Velcro tie downs. Just inside the center location, you'll find additional hose storage location, Velcro tie downs. Moving toward the driver's side, you'll find a swivel discharge. And mounted on the top of the deck, you'll find mechanical siren. Now moving to the cab face, where you'll find on the outer edge a turn indicator marker light. Just inside that location is the headlight structure, housing low and high beam headlights. High beam located on the inside is your high beam. Just up from that, you'll find emergency warning light cluster with orange and red lights. Directly in the center above the Pierce logo, you'll find a grab handle for gaining access to the windshield area. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Located in the center inside the cab, you'll find your Haas system. This is your traffic avoidance collision system. Moving to the outer edge, you'll find a mirror housing flat and convex mirrors. Moving up to the brow, you'll find your 5 identification clearance lights. Just above that, you'll find a forward-facing brow light. Moving up onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located in the center of the light bar is where you'll find your Opticom. We'll go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, let's start with the front bumper extension. Let's take a look at the front inlet area. You'll find a front inlet air bleed, and then also right next to the front inlet is where you'll find the hose storage location, dry deck material inside this space. Velcro tie downs. We're now into the center area. Velcro tie downs, front discharge swivel, and then the mechanical siren, and you can see the side-facing emergency warning light on the side of the bumper extension. Full view of the apparatus. Let's start with the cab section next, starting with the front axle, where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator, Alcoa wheel, and Goodyear tires. As we move back to that front bumper extension, we can see that side-facing emergency warning light. Just up from that location is a marker turn indicator. And as we move to the door area, you'll find the door lock and latch combination. They are keyed and easily accessible with a gloved hand. Right next to that, grab handles for gaining entry and exit into the vehicle or out. As we move to the rear cab wall, you'll find a D-handle gains you access into this space at the rear section of the cab. Just above that, you'll find a lower zone emergency warning light, and then your shoreline inlet. Just above the front axle, you'll find a D-handle gains you access into the space behind the driver. And then as we move to the very rear portion of the cab in the upper corner, you'll find an LED water tank level indicator. We're on to the midsection, which we'll come back to and cover in great detail. Let's move to the body section next, where you'll find your booster line reel rewind foot switch. As we move just in front of and rear of the axle, you'll find your wheel chock storage location. Also a turn indicator marker light just in front of the rear axle. There are also 2 pan doors located here, SCBA bottle storage in the forward section. As we move toward the rear section, you'll find your DEF and also ultra low sulfur diesel fill location. Directly over the rear axle is where you'll find a lower zone emergency warning. And as we move to the rear of the body, you'll find an upper emergency warning zone. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus, where we'll start with the cluster at the rear with an emergency light, brake, turn, and reverse light. Also, just up from that location on the driver's side, you'll find two cupped switches. We'll come back to this in a moment. And at the very top, you'll find recessed rear-facing scene lights. As we move up to the very top, once again, that emergency warning light 360 degrees. We do have 3 fold-down steps located here for gaining access to the hose bed area. You'll also find 2 discharges located, a passenger and driver side. These are both 2.5 inch. And then also in the center, you'll find a backup camera. And then located on the passenger side, you'll find a tank fill. We'll go ahead and move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle. Same configuration and layout for the most part. We'll take a look at the body section. You do have a ladder rack and exhaust on this side. Back to the mid-section area, which we'll come back and cover. And then onto the cab section, same configuration and layout. Let's go ahead and move into the driver's space, starting first with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel are safety and warning placard information, a combination door lock and latch, manual window control, and grab handle. At the base of the seat, when plugged into Shoreline Power, your auto charge battery status will illuminate. Also find this yellow placard, which we'll cover next. And then as we move down, once again, auto charge when plugged into Shoreline Power, this will activate. The yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard area, you'll find a foot pedal for your air horn and also mechanical siren. As we move to the left knee of the operator, master battery. And then as we move further to the right, engine, transmission, ABS, and J1939 diagnostic port. Also, you'll find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switch. As we move to the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions for its operation from road to pump and also from pump to road. Just as a reminder, pump engaged and OK to pump green indicators must be illuminating for pump operations prior to exiting the cab. Just to the right, you'll find the flat mirror and convex mirror control. And as we move to the dash, we'll start on the left with the start and ignition switch. Just to the right, a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. To the right, the headlight switch and then panel switch, which allows you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. On the opposite side of the column, this is where you'll find your OK to engage the high idle indicator and also switch. Let's move up onto the dash cluster. We'll start on the left-hand side with the transmission oil, def level, and water temp. As we move to the right, you'll find front air, rear air, fuel, and volts. Located in the center is the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above and below the tachometer and speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the operator's position here, where you'll find at the very top section some switches. Let's cover those next. First, starting with the front scene, driver scene, passenger scene, rear scene, mirror heat, and tire chain. The tire chains have a protected switch, and all of those switches will illuminate when they have been activated within each individual switch. As we move down, you'll find the engine brake on and off, settings for low, medium, and high, inverter on and off, and also a load manager. As we move down, you'll find the yellow diamond here. This is the pull to apply or system parking brake and push to release. Allison transmission pad, digital readout, push button with an informational note to pump and drive. Also some caution information regarding your tire chain, and also disengage the retarder when on wet or slippery surfaces. Climate control for heat, defrost, and air conditioning are located in the front section. Also 12-volt access via barrel style and USB. Moving just to the right of this location, you'll find a siren brake. And then let's go ahead and look overhead from the driver's position. General view. We'll start first with some switch panels over the driver's head. First, let's start with this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 4 inches, length 33 feet 7 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 47,000 pounds, and it has the 5-digit job number. Switches, we have emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Let's move just to the right with an additional switch panel, starting at the very top with the high beam flash, opticom, siren horn selector switch, and then we have a red siren brake. This is for your mechanical siren. Just to the right, we have the control module for your electronic siren and PA speaker system. General view into the cab area for your camera system. This is a monitor for that. And then as we move also into the center area, you'll find a do not move your apparatus when light is on, indicating you have a compartment or door open. Also, seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat, green indicating that they're in the seat and buckled. To the very rear, we'll find an EMS compartment with roll-up compartment and also shelving inside. We'll cover that in just a moment. As we move to the exterior, this is the compartment directly over the front axle. Moving downward, Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge indicator into that axle area. Let's move now to the rear portion of the cab area. Let's start first with the door panel, a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, manual window control, and a grab handle. As we move to the rear portion of the engine, you'll find a lift and turn latch will gain you access for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's move toward the rear cab wall where you'll find your SCBA seats. In between is where you'll find an EMS compartment. We have adjustable shelving, LED lighting. And as we move to the very rear portion, vertical wall, you'll find a shoreline outlet. General view, roll-up compartment door, 2 seats forward facing, one on the passenger, one on the driver's side. As we move to the exterior, this is your shoreline inlet, 20 amp. As we move to the lower portion, you have an additional storage compartment. D handle gains you access into this space. We're now to the pump panel area on the driver's side. Just on the rear portion of the cab wall, you'll find backboard storage location accessible both from the passenger and driver's side. There are 2 crosslays located here also, the upper crosslay and then a lower crosslay. Moving now to the pump panel on the driver's side, let's first start in the lower section where you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. As we move up, we do have some warning placards indicating here, warning, entanglement hazard because of the lines coming from those speedlays. We have this warning placard. Also, fall. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. This is the number 1 driver's side 2.5-inch discharge. And then right next to it, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Because you do have an electric inlet, we have a override for that inlet. You'll also find a warning placard here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. The wattress placard indicating the type of pump and GPM that you have, and also the number 3 driver's side discharge 2.5-inch. Just to the right, the American flag eagle Pierce logo. This is the driver's side main pump inlet. We have an additional access door for gaining access into the portion behind the pump panel. As we move to the lower portion, color code and labeled discharge drains, and also the driver's side auxiliary inlet, and also the inlet air bleeder. As we move to the right, color code and labeled discharge drains. Moving further to the right, you'll find the main pump drain, and then just underneath that, you'll find the manual pump shift. Moving just to the right, the red lever located here is the draft foam tank lever, and then also pickup location. Moving to the right, we have a warning placard here indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move inside the pan door, the yellow handle in the very back section should match your desired position on this label here on the back of the pan door. Also, you'll find your foam drain located in the upper portion. Let's go ahead and go back to the wattress placard indicating the capacity of 1,500 GPM, and we'll take a look at the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left is the associated GPM at test pressure, and on the right side are the associated RPMs at test pressure. 5-digit job number in the upper left-hand corner. While in pump mode, you have a governed speed of 2,130 RPMs. General view here of the pump panel area. Let's take a look here. First, starting with the driver's main inlet air bleed. And as I mentioned, this is an electric valve for the driver main inlet. As we move down, we do have an electric valve for the front inlet, therefore requiring a primer. This is a Hale primer. For best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs when engaging the primer. As we move to the right, you'll find the front inlet air bleed. And then moving further to the left, we have a switch panel located here. We have panel lights, also an OK to pump indicator, driver side scene, passenger side scene, and also evacuation, which is connected to your air horn. Let's go ahead and move just slightly to the left, so we'll shift left. This is where you're going to find speed light number 2 and speed light number 1. We do have a digital readout for those and also a flow minder totalizer for the amount of flow. Engine cooler, this is a twist, not a pull. We also have an additional primer located here. This is your main pump primer. And then as we move to the left into the gray area, you're going to find your master intake gauge and master discharge gauge. In between the two of those gauges are the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. These are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. As we move down to the very bottom, we have a warning placard here indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment. That's only after proper training. We do have an additional panel for your engine info. It has oil, water, volts, and fuel. Also some tally lights here for stop engine, and check transmission. And in the very center, we have a tachometer. Moving now just to the left, you'll find your Husky foam system. This is the red module. There are instructions on the actual module itself for its operation. And then also we have the foam level indicator. In addition, with a Husky 3 foam specifications on the lower left side. As we move to the left, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharges. Tank to pump and tank fill and recirculating line. Just beneath that, you'll find the water level indicator. As we move back up to the top, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. And then just beneath that is where you'll find a round speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate, allowing you to brighten or dampen sound. Also a fall injury warning. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. You do have a wheel valve covering the deluge discharge. And then we'll move slightly to the left again where you'll find additional discharges color-coded and labeled. I'd also like to point out the red informational, meaning that they are foam capable. This is the walkway. There is storage on both passenger and driver side on the upper portion of the pump panel area. Let's go ahead and move into the compartments next. First, starting with your inverter. Moving just to the left, when plugged into shoreline power, the battery charger and air compressor will activate, maintaining battery and air pressure. Just in front of the rear axle, SCBA bottle storage for 3 bottles, retaining strap. As we move downward to the rear axle, you'll find Alcoa wheel and Goodyear tire. Let's move back up to the rear portion of the axle area where you'll find the fuel door, silver cap, ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move this flap downward, it will expose the blue cap, which is your DEF fill location, and that is a 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Back up to the very top and to the rear portion is where you'll find adjustable shelving, LED lighting and a pull-out tray down in the lower portion. The release is on the lower right corner. Full view here of the apparatus with all the compartment doors open. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus next. Let's go back to those cup switches where we have two of them. First, rear scene lights and hose bed lights. As we move just inside this location, we do have some additional warning placards here regarding entanglement hazard because of the lines coming from aloft. Also, fall. When climbing on and off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. And then also fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. And then a warning here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Let's take a look in the upper portion here where we have some discharges. First, driver rear discharge. This is a foam capable 2.5. As we move just to the right and into the center area, you'll find your backup camera. Moving just to the right of this location, passenger side rear discharge. This is non-foam capable. And then we have a direct tank fill locally controlled via ball valve, female inlet. Let's move down to the roll-up compartment door at the rear of the apparatus. We have two pull-out trays. In the upper portion, we have shoreline outlets here. These will be active when plugged into shoreline power. Both of these release mechanisms are located on the right side. Also, an inverter outlet on the rear exterior passenger side. And then we'll move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle. Into the next compartment, we have a tool board located here. Also an access door to gain access into the equipment rack hydraulic reservoir. As we move down from this location, you'll find your rear axle, Goodyear tire, and Alcoa wheel. Let's move just to the front of that location where you'll find SCBA bottle storage, 3 bottles with retaining straps. I would like to point out extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Please be cautious and mindful where you choose to park your vehicle during regen. Just to the right, you'll find a booster line reel rewind foot pedal. As we move up into the compartment, the upper portion is a pull out and tilt downward shelf, adjustable shelf, and then also a pull out tray. In this compartment, we do have a shoreline outlet. You can see the deployed upper tilt down shelf. Then we'll move downward from this location and have a close-up here of the foot pedal for the booster line and also front inlet drain. Let's go back to the midsection where you'll find the powered equipment rack, their instructions for its operation, and also some danger information. In addition, with some warnings regarding never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion, always face the vehicle while climbing on and off, also pressure hazard and entanglement hazard because the line's coming from aloft. There are two 2.5 discharges located on this side also, the number 2 and number 4. As we move back to the powered equipment rack, once again there are instructions to raise and also to lower. And because of the moving parts, we do have a danger here for that movement of the hydraulic rack. Let's move just down from this location where you'll find the number 2 and number 4 passenger side discharge, once again 2.5 inch. We also have a large diameter passenger side discharge, and then across the very bottom section, color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move just to the right, you'll find a pan door for gaining access behind the pump panel, also primer drain, and this is the front inlet override. Because this is an electric valve, we have to have an override for that. We also have the cab lift located on this side, instructions for its operation. As we move to the running board, you'll find a tubbed storage location for additional hose. We're now back to the cross lays, and then also in the very upper portion on the rear cab wall is the access for your backboard storage. And since we're on this side, just a general view of the pump panel. and then also that compartment in the lower section walkway, both passenger and driver side. Backboard storage location. This is the rear cab wall. We're now to the cab section, where you'll find additional storage in the lower section. D-handle gains you access into this space. Let's move inside now to the rear portion of the cab area. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, manual window controls, door lock and latch, and a grab handle. Overhead, push and on and off white or red lens lights, air conditioning, 2 forward seats here that house SCBAs, and then in the center section you'll also find an additional SCBA pack location for storage. Underneath those seats you'll find light boxes, and then let's go ahead and move to the exterior. This is directly behind the officer seat, adjustable shelf. These are enclosed and only accessible to the exterior. As we move to the front axle, Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, visual sight gauge. We're moving now into the officer space, passenger. We'll move first to the door panel and affix the door panel, safety and warning placard information, combination door lock and latch, manual window control, and a grab handle. As we move inside to the officer space, at the floor level you'll find 2 foot pedals, first the electronic siren and mechanical siren. On the A pillar is the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Let's move back up to the front dash area, where you'll find 12-volt access. You'll also find these red and white labels indicating spare wiring behind the panel. There is an option number. Please keep these on there until your maintenance team has had an opportunity to outfit your vehicle. Full view of the passenger side of the vehicle, all compartments open. Let's go ahead and take a look at the powered equipment rack. On the powered equipment rack itself, we have a 24-foot extension ladder, 14-foot extension ladder. We also have additional storage location here for rigid hose for drafting, and also a 10-foot attic ladder in the lower portion. Now we'll go ahead and go into the dunnage area and hose bed area onto the top of the truck. First, let's start at the rear with the hose bed. We do have movable hose bed dividers. We'll move from this location into the dunnage area next, where you'll find top fill location for your water tank and also foam tank fill location. This is the water tank fill area. As we move to the opposite side, foam class A, and this is also a warning, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. As we move to the dunnage itself, you'll find a reel located on the driver's side. You'll also find tension-free spool knob and also manual rewind on the reel. Also Husky 3 hydraulic reservoir and fill location for hydraulic fluid. You also have top fill access here for your master stream device for on and off. Additional storage here on the very top section of the cab. I would like to point out this is a non-walking surface, and we have these indicating that this is slippery. We'll now go ahead and take a look at the under section of the chassis. Indicated here are the tow hooks for towing the vehicle. As we move through the next set of images, this will be of the chassis and engine area. When the cab has been fully tilted, this is the safety bar for when the cab has been tilted. When the bar has been put into place, do not lower the cab onto the bar. Maintain equal pressure on both the right and left cab cylinder. Moving now to the engine area. We'll start first at the front with the power steering. There is a visual sight gauge and also dipstick. As we move toward the rear, this is your radiator recovery tank. As we move to the right, you'll find at the rear portion of the engine the oil and transmission dipsticks and fill location. Underneath the battery box is where you'll find the negative and positive studs for jumper studs. To the rear of that battery box, you'll find the hydraulic reservoir for the cab tilt. The next set of images is that of the undercarriage area. There'll be no audio in this portion. This concludes the additional images here of your apparatus. I've got a short video with your emergency warning lights activated on a walk around. Congratulations, Kuna Rural Fire District, Idaho, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 38181. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.